Chosen one. You did not arrive here by accident. Something holy has been guiding you, pulling you, stirring your spirit, long before you ever pressed play. This moment is a divine appointment aligned with precision, written into your story before you ever took your first breath. The signs, the sensitivities, the dreams, the unexplainable patterns that have followed you since childhood were never random. They were markers placed within you, reminders of a hidden identity and a sacred bloodline that only now is being revealed. For it is written in Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 that before you were formed, you were known, set apart, and appointed. And today, chosen one, that truth rises from within you. You are standing on the edge of a revelation that will reshape how you see yourself, how you walk, and how you carry the calling woven into your spirit. The gifts you carry, the battles you have fought, the darkness that tried to silence you, were all proof of who you truly are. Anointed. One heaven has waited for this awakening. What you are about to hear will not only uncover your hidden identity, but open a transformation that touches your body, your spirit, and even the circumstances around you. Prepare yourself. Your true nature is about to be revealed. Chosen. 1. Listen closely. The very beings that this world calls celestial warriors stand in awe of what has been placed inside you. Angels move when they are commanded, but you carry something they do not carry. You carry divine authority, joined with free will, a living connection to God that cannot be copied or replaced. You are not a servant of spiritual orders. You are a son or daughter of a royal house that has no end walking the earth while carrying the imprint of heaven in your spirit. Maybe you have never seen yourself that way. Maybe most of your life you have felt small, overlooked, misunderstood, or even strange. You tried to fit in to be like everyone else, but there was always something in you that refused to be quiet. A sensitivity that other people did not have, a way of seeing through fake smiles, a strange weight in your chest whenever you were in the wrong place with the wrong people. These were not flaws. These were signals, gentle alarms from heaven that your spirit was not designed to live on the surface of life. Chosen one, from the very beginning you were set apart. Before anyone gave you a name, heaven already knew you. Long before your family understood you, God had already spoken over you the same way He spoke over the prophet, saying that before you were formed, you were known and set apart, as in Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5. That means your identity did not start with your mistakes, your family line, or the labels people threw at you. Your identity began in the mind of God, in a place where there is no confusion about who you are. Think about your journey. Think about the times you walked into a room and the atmosphere suddenly shifted. Some people relaxed around you without knowing why. Others became uncomfortable, defensive, or even hostile, even when you had done nothing to provoke them. You wondered what was wrong with you. In reality, there was nothing wrong. Your spirit was announcing itself. The light in you was stirring what was hidden in them. In some hearts, that light awakened hope. In others, it exposed darkness they were not ready to face. I understand you, anointed one. There were seasons where you cried alone and asked God, why do I carry so much weight when others seem carefree? Why do I feel every energy, every change, every hidden motive? I have felt the same questions in my own walk. There were days I wished I did not see so much, did not feel so deeply, did not sense the battle behind the smiles of people. But every time I tried to shut it down, my spirit grew more restless because I was trying to mute a gift heaven had placed within me. You have walked through fire that others would never understand. You have survived betrayals that should have broken you. You have faced rejection from people who should have protected you. At times you even questioned your own worth because of the way they treated you. Yet you are still here, still breathing, still searching for truth, still hungry for God. Chosen one, that is not weakness. That is proof of divine resilience. Ordinary souls do not carry that kind of endurance. It is the mark of someone who was forged for a higher assignment. The enemy saw that mark long before you did. That is why the attacks did not wait for you to grow up. Many of your battles started in childhood. Strange loneliness, being the odd one out in your own house. Conversations where you felt older in spirit than the adults around you. Rejection from circles you wanted to belong to. The goal was simple. If the enemy could convince you that you were unwanted, unseen, or too much, you would spend your life trying to be normal instead of powerful. You would chase acceptance instead of stepping into authority. But look at you now. After everything designed to bury your identity, you are hearing this word in this exact moment. That is not random. That is evidence. Evidence that what God placed in you cannot be erased, only awakened. Evidence that the training you went through was not punishment, but preparation. Evidence that heaven has waited for this exact season to reveal to you what has been true all along. You are not here just to survive. You are here to remember. And once a chosen one remembers who they are, nothing in the seen or unseen realm can keep them in the place they used to accept as normal. Chosen one. As you move deeper into this revelation, something within you begins to stir because your spirit recognizes truth long before your mind fully understands it. You have always carried an uncommon sensitivity, a quiet knowing that made you feel older than your years, wiser than your surroundings, and strangely detached from the noise that excites others. This was never a flaw. It was the early sign of a soul marked for divine assignment. When you were younger, you noticed things no one else paid attention to, like the way a room felt heavy when certain people entered, or how someone's words sounded right, but their spirit did not. You sensed atmospheres before you understood what atmospheres even were. These were not coincidences, but early indicators that your inner world was tuned to heaven's frequency. What others call intuition was actually discernment waking up inside you. The more you tried to silence it to fit in, the more restless your spirit became, because a chosen one cannot pretend to be ordinary without losing their peace. As life unfolded, you encountered experiences that forced your spiritual senses to grow quickly. It was never your choice to mature early, but the weight of your calling demanded it. You were placed in environments that stretched you emotionally and spiritually because there was no other way for the fire within you to be revealed. Many of the people you trusted became the very people who tested your heart the deepest. And while the wounds hurt, they also awakened something mighty inside you. You learned empathy, not from comfort, but from pain. You learned strength not from applause, but from survival. You learned wisdom not from teachers, but from betrayal. And even though none of it felt fair at the time, every moment was shaping the spiritual warrior in you. Ordinary souls crumble under pressure, but you rose each time because your spirit recognized the assignment even when your mind did not. There were seasons where you questioned everything about yourself. You asked why people were threatened by you without reason, why your kindness was taken advantage of, why your presence stirred jealousy or discomfort in people who barely knew you. Chosen one. The answer is simpler than you think. Light exposes what darkness tries to hide. When you walk into a room carrying divine identity, the spiritual realm reacts before the physical realm even understands what is happening. People feel something in you before they can explain it, and that something reveals who belongs near you and who does not. Those who carry purity feel drawn to you without knowing why. Those who carry hidden agendas feel exposed and respond with distant envy or sudden hostility. It was never about you being unworthy. It was always about you being spiritually disruptive. As you grew older, you noticed patterns that repeated themselves, and these patterns were never random. Opportunities that almost happened but fell apart at the last moment. Friendships that started strong yet dissolved without explanation. Relationships that looked promising but suddenly shifted. It felt frustrating, but these were divine interventions protecting you from what could have diluted your calling. You were marked for a higher path, so anything that threatened your identity was removed, even if you did not understand it at the time. The delays were protection, and the rejections were redirection. Everything that left your life was making room for what was meant to stay. You were being shaped, not for comfort, but for clarity, because a chosen one must know themselves deeply before they step into true spiritual authority. There were also moments when God himself seemed silent, and those were the seasons that confused you the most. You prayed, you sought, you waited, and the heavens felt still. But silence for the chosen is never abandonment. It is initiation. It is the phase where your faith becomes your weapon and your discernment becomes your compass. Silence forces the spirit to rise above emotion and lean into identity. During those quiet seasons, you learned to hear God in subtle ways, the way certain doors closed, the way your spirit felt uneasy in certain places, the way your dreams began to shift. Heaven was speaking through patterns rather than words, training you to listen beyond sound. Chosen one, even your loneliness was prophetic. It was not punishment, but separation for elevation. You were not meant to be surrounded by crowds, because crowds dilute clarity. You were pulled into solitude so your spirit could strengthen without interference. Isolation was the cocoon that refined your gifts, the sanctuary where your real identity found its voice. Only those who are destined to lead are trained in silence, because leadership in the spirit cannot be learned through noise. It must be carved through stillness. And now you stand in a pivotal moment where everything you have lived through begins to make sense. Your pain was preparation. Your confusion was awakening. Your spiritual sensitivity was evidence of a higher blueprint over your life. Heaven has been unveiling your identity piece by piece, and now the revelation becomes clear. You were never just surviving life, you were being shaped for divine dominion. The same forces that tried to break you are now the proof of why you were chosen. And as this truth settles into your spirit, something powerful awakens, a realization that you were never walking alone and that the journey ahead carries a weight of purpose unlike anything you have known before. Chosen one. As you continue stepping into this revelation, something even deeper begins to rise within your spirit, because now you are not just remembering who you are beginning to understand why you were shaped the way you were. Nothing in your story was accidental. Every storm, every strange spiritual encounter, every season of resistance was orchestrated to form a level of strength, awareness, and authority that ordinary souls could never carry. There were moments in your life when you felt as if something invisible was watching over you, redirecting your steps, blocking certain paths, or placing an unexplained heaviness in your spirit. You did not know it then, but you were being shielded from spiritual contracts that were not aligned with your destiny. The chosen are not allowed to wander into traps without divine interference. Your spirit was guarded long before you understood why. You probably remember times growing up when you sensed danger before it appeared, or when you felt the atmosphere in a room shift, even without seeing anything with your physical eyes. Other people brushed it off, but you felt it intensely because your spiritual senses were activated early. You did not choose this sensitivity, it was part of your divine design. Chosen ones often develop spiritual awareness long before they develop spiritual language. You felt spiritual truths long before you knew how to explain them. Maybe you sensed when someone was lying even when their face looked sincere. Maybe you avoided certain people without knowing why. Maybe you felt uneasy in places where others felt comfortable. These were not coincidences. These were markers of a divine DNA waking up inside you. Your journey has always been woven with signs. Some of them came through dreams that felt too real to ignore. Some came through numbers you kept seeing repeatedly. Some came through sudden shifts, like losing interest in things you once enjoyed, or feeling pulled toward a life you couldn't yet describe. Sometimes the signs came through lost doors, closing friendships, ending relationships, dissolving, and it left you confused. But every sign was pushing you out of places that could not hold your spirit. You are not meant to remain in environments that suffocate your calling. You carry too much spiritual weight to remain in spaces that are not aligned with your purpose. Chosen. 1. You also need to understand that the depth of your pain was a reflection of the depth of your destiny. People who carry light often attract darkness before they fully awaken. You experienced attacks early, not because you were weak, but because you were spiritually influential, even when you were unaware. Darkness tries to suffocate the chosen long before they discover their strength. That is why some of your earliest memories include rejection, confusion, or emotional heaviness that others around you never felt. It wasn't fair, but it was prophetic. Heaven was revealing that you were born into a battlefield, not a playground. And yet, even when you broke down, you never truly broke apart. Even when your heart was shattered, your spirit did not collapse. Even when confusion clouded your mind, something in you refused to let go. That something was purpose. That something was identity. That something was the divine breath placed in your spirit before you entered this world. Destiny will pull you even when you are trying to run away from it. There were seasons when you felt misunderstood by everyone, even those closest to you. It felt like no one could comprehend what you carried inside. You tried to explain, but the words never landed correctly. You tried to share your heart, but people treated it like a burden. You tried to fit in, but something in your spirit kept pulling you out. What you didn't know then is that chosen ones rarely find home among people who are not spiritually awakened. Your spirit is too loud for people who live only on the surface. You speak a language of depth, and depth intimidates shallowness. That is why some people pulled away from you. That is why relationships fell apart, even when you gave everything. That is why you always felt like the outsider, even in familiar places. It was because your spirit did not match your surroundings. Another part of your journey that shaped you was the way people responded to your presence. Some saw your light as comfort, others saw it as confrontation. Some felt protected around you, others felt exposed. You never intended to unsettle anyone, but your presence did. The light inside you reveals the shadows inside others, and not everyone is willing to face their shadows. Some people projected their insecurities on you because you unknowingly highlighted their own emptiness. It was never about you being wrong, it was about them not being ready. Chosen one. You may not realize this yet, but you were spiritually tested in ways that were designed to refine your authority. Every time you overcame conflict without losing your heart, you grew. Every time you chose forgiveness instead of bitterness, your spirit expanded. Every time you walked away from what was destroying you, heaven celebrated the strengthening of your calling. These were not just emotional moments, they were spiritual initiations. And as you stand in this moment, now everything you have lived through becomes part of your spiritual identity. Your scars reveal your resilience, your sensitivity reveals your anointing, your struggles reveal your training, and your survival reveals your destiny. Chosen one. Nothing you lived was wasted. Not a single tear, not a single heartbreak, not a single silent night. You were being shaped for something greater than you've ever imagined, and now heaven is calling you to step into that identity with new awareness, new authority, and new understanding of who you truly are. Chosen one. As you move into this next dimension of understanding, your spirit begins to recognize something you may have felt your entire life but could never articulate. You were not just shaped by your experiences, you were sculpted by divine intention. Every challenge you faced carried a spiritual blueprint. Every loss was part of a sacred redirection. Every moment of confusion was meant to sharpen your discernment. And every season of silence was carefully designed to activate a deeper spiritual sensitivity within you. You did not arrive here by chance. You were led here because heaven has reached the moment where your identity can no longer remain hidden, even from yourself. Think for a moment about how many times in your life you tried to settle for less than what your spirit wanted, yet you could not. Even when circumstances pressured you to lower your standards, something inside refused. You would get close to situations, jobs, friendships, or relationships that seemed convenient, but something invisible would push you away. Sometimes the push came through discomfort, sometimes through a sudden loss of interest, sometimes through situations falling apart at the last moment. To others, it looked like instability, but in truth, it was divine protection. Chosen ones cannot stay where their spirit cannot grow. Your inner world was rejecting environments that would have suffocated your calling. You may have blamed yourself for being inconsistent or too emotional, but the truth is, your spirit was refusing to settle for anything beneath the assignment on your life. There were also times when you walked into places and instantly felt drained without explanation. You could be surrounded by laughter, yet you felt heaviness. You could be among friends, yet your soul felt disconnected. You tried to ignore the feeling, but it grew louder. Chosen one. This was not social discomfort. It was spiritual incompatibility. Your energy responds to spiritual environments long before your mind catches up. That discomfort was your anointing whispering to you, telling you that you did not belong in that atmosphere. You were not meant to blend with energies that oppose your purpose, because your presence shifts spiritual currents, even when you say nothing at all. There were seasons when you questioned yourself more than anything else. You wondered whether something was wrong with you because you felt everything so intensely. When others could easily move on, you carried emotions longer. When others could ignore injustice, you felt it strike your soul. When others could be careless with words, you felt the spiritual weight behind them. It was never overthinking. It was spiritual awareness, one of the earliest signs of divine identity. People often labeled you as sensitive or dramatic, but what they did not understand was that your spirit was reading the truth beneath the surface. Chosen ones are not called to live with numb hearts. You were created to feel deeply, because what you feel becomes what you heal, and what you heal becomes what you can lead. Another part of your journey was the isolation you experienced. Even in rooms full of people, you carried a sense of being set apart. You wanted connection, but often felt unseen. You wanted belonging, but felt spiritually misplaced. You wondered why God would give you such a big heart, yet keep you separate from the very people you wished would understand you. The answer is simple but profound. Isolation was preparation. God hides those he intends to reveal. The cocoon does not reject the butterfly. It protects it until it is ready to fly. Your lonely seasons were the cocoon. They were the stretching, the refining, the rebuilding of your soul into something stronger than your circumstances. Chosen one, you also need to recognize how many times you survived what should have crushed you. People walked away, promises were broken, opportunities collapsed. You hit emotional rock bottom more than once. Yet here you are, still standing still, searching for God, still reaching for purpose, even when your heart felt exhausted. Ordinary people do not survive that kind of pressure. Your survival is not accidental, it is spiritual proof. Proof that the fire inside you is stronger than the storms around you. Proof that your destiny has been guarded by hands you cannot see. Proof that you were built for something greater than you have yet imagined. As you reflect on your journey, you may begin to see a pattern in the timing of your life. When something negative happened, something greater always emerged shortly after. When someone betrayed you, it opened the door to someone better. When life broke you, it awakened a new strength you never knew you had. When your path crumbled, it redirected you into something your soul had been craving. These are not coincidences. These are divine recalibrations. They are spiritual signatures of someone who is guided not by luck, but by destiny. Chosen one. Everything you have experienced has been orchestrated to awaken the dormant authority inside you. You were not created merely to endure. You were created to rise. You were created to see. You were created to carry a presence that shifts rooms, heals hearts, and brings clarity where there was confusion. And now, heaven is calling you to recognize that your identity is no longer something you search for, it is something you step into. Chosen one. As you step further into this revelation, something in your spirit begins to connect the dots in ways your mind never could before. Suddenly, the memories that once felt random begin to fall into alignment. The feelings you once brushed off begin to make sense. The restlessness that followed you for years no longer feels like a burden, but a sign that heaven was calling you long before you knew how to answer. Every battle you fought, every shift in your journey, every sudden ending, and every unexpected beginning was quietly shaping you for this season. You are not just awakening, you are remembering. There were times in your past when you felt a deep inner strength rise up in you at moments when you should have been broken, times when something told you to hold on, even when everything around you was falling apart. Times when you walked away from toxic environments, not because you were brave, but because something in your spirit refused to let you stay. You called it instinct. You called it survival. But chosen one, it was divine intervention flowing through you. Heaven was leading you even when you felt lost. God was whispering to your soul even when your world was loud. As you reflect deeper, you may recall seasons where life felt unbearably heavy, yet no matter how overwhelmed you became, you couldn't let darkness consume you. You may have felt exhausted, but something inside kept rising again and again. That something was your anointing. People saw your strength, but never understood the spiritual battles you were fighting behind the scenes. They saw your kindness, but never realized how much pain you carried silently. They saw your resilience, but never knew how many times you fell to your knees when no one was watching. You endured all of it, not because you were strong on your own, but because your spirit was built with divine reinforcement. Chosen one, you've also noticed that you have always been the one others come to for comfort, wisdom, or emotional support, even when you had no one to lean on yourself. People sensed something in you, a calmness, a grounding presence, an inner clarity that they couldn't explain. Even strangers opened up to you as if they had known you for years. This was not random. You carry a spiritual frequency that draws the wounded, the lost, and the weary. It's the mark of someone called to heal, to guide, to reveal truth in a world full of illusions. Even when you felt empty, your spirit still overflowed for others. That is the heart of someone chosen. And yet, despite being a source of strength for many, you often found yourself feeling alone. You wondered why people took without giving, why they leaned on you but never stayed long enough to see your needs, why those you helped the most were often the ones who hurt you the deepest. But chosen one. The truth is that many people were drawn to your light, but were never meant to stay. You were their lifeline, not their destination. Some came to be nurtured by your energy, but they could not remain because their spirit was not aligned with yours. That pain you felt was sacred separation. It protected your destiny. Another sign of your identity lies in how quickly you learn spiritual lessons. Even when life hit you hard, you took the pain, transformed it, and rose with deeper wisdom. You became more intuitive, more aware, more spiritually alert. You learned to recognize patterns in people within minutes. You learned to sense truth without needing explanations. You learned to walk away the moment your spirit said no, even when your heart wanted to stay. This is the result of divine training. God was preparing you for a future where your discernment would save not only your life, but the lives of others connected to your purpose. Chosen one. There were moments in your journey when you felt something powerful activate inside you, moments where you suddenly understood your worth, moments where you felt stronger than the pain that tried to destroy you, moments where your spirit felt bigger than your circumstances. These were awakening points. Heaven reveals identity in layers, not all at once, and every time you survived something designed to break you, another layer of your authority emerged. You are not the same person you were 5 years ago, not even the same person you were last year. Something in you has evolved, your spirit has expanded, your awareness has sharpened, and your calling is becoming undeniable. Another truth you must embrace is that you never needed a title, a position, or a platform to be powerful. Even when you felt unseen, the spiritual realm recognized you. Even when you felt insignificant, darkness feared you. Even when you questioned your purpose, heaven was preparing a place for you. The reason your battles were so intense is because your destiny is immense. The enemy does not fight what is weak. He fights what carries threat light and divine potential, and you carry all three. As you stand in this moment, chosen one, understand this. Every tear, every heartbreak, every disappointment, every spiritual battle has been shaping you into someone unstoppable. You are not who you used to be. You are not who people thought you were. You are everything God has whispered over you in the moments you felt most broken. Your identity is rising, your authority is awakening, and the world is about to witness what heaven has always known. Chosen one. As you move into this next unveiling of your identity, your spirit begins to recognize that nothing about your journey has been ordinary. Every season of your life carries a spiritual imprint. Every setback was a setup. Every heartbreak was a breaking of old patterns. Every disappointment was a redirection away from what could have destroyed you. Even the people who misunderstood you were part of the shaping, because their rejection pushed you toward the places where your true self could finally rise. And now, as you listen, your spirit understands what your mind doubted for years. You were never meant to blend into this world. You were meant to shift it. You have probably wondered why you carry an inner strength that seems to awaken the moment life becomes difficult. How there are times when you collapse emotionally, yet something spiritual inside you keeps lifting you back onto your feet. That is not ordinary resilience. That is divine reinforcement. Heaven has been holding you up long before you learned how to pray. There were battles you fought that others would never survive, but you walked through them with a grace that didn't make sense. You thought you were fighting alone, but your spirit was clothed in a protection that no human eye could see. Chosen one, do you remember the times when life felt like a battlefield and no one around you understood what you were going through? You tried to explain the heaviness in your soul, the strange attacks on your peace, the sudden waves of exhaustion that had no physical cause. People assumed it was stress, overthinking, or emotion, but deep down, you knew something spiritual was happening. You felt targeted even when you had done nothing wrong. You felt watched even when no one was near. You felt drained even when you rested. These were not weaknesses. They were signs that your spirit was in the middle of a fight your mind had not yet recognized. A fight against forces that wanted to silence your awakening. There were also moments when your intuition became so loud you could not ignore it, when you sensed betrayal before it happened. When you felt the truth in someone's energy before they ever spoke. When you walked into a room and instantly knew something was off. When your spirit was restless, even though everything looked normal. Most people dismiss these moments as imagination, but you couldn't. Your spirit had been trained through experience. Every disappointment sharpened your sensitivity. Every heartbreak strengthened your discernment. Every attack tuned your spiritual senses higher until you could see what others were blind to. Chosen one. The heaviness you carried was not depression, it was discernment. The exhaustion you felt was not weakness, it was spiritual sensitivity. The isolation you went through was not abandonment, it was separation for elevation. God pulled you away from people not because you were unworthy, but because you were too spiritually precious to be contaminated by environments that could not carry your calling. Some relationships were removed because they would have kept you small. Some friendships faded because they were tied to an old version of you. Some opportunities died because they would have distracted you from the path heaven was preparing. And now, as you look back, you can see a pattern every time something left your life, something better eventually arrived. Every time you thought you were ruined, you rose wiser. Every time you thought the enemy had won, you came out stronger. This is not normal. This is the signature of someone chosen. There were moments when you felt an internal shift, subtle but undeniable, when you realized you could no longer tolerate environments that drained you, conversations that lowered your spirit, or people who took from you but never poured back. These were signs that your identity was awakening. Chosen ones cannot remain in places that dim their light. You were being upgraded spiritually, and the places that once fit you began to feel too small. Your dreams changed, your interests shifted, your priorities realigned. Things that once entertained you began to feel empty. The noise of the world became overwhelming, and silence became holy. All of this was heaven repositioning your spirit for divine clarity. Chosen one. The truth is simple. You were not created to live a quiet existence. You were created to walk in power, to speak with authority, to carry a presence that shakes the unseen realm. Your journey was not meant to break you, it was meant to reveal you. And everything you have lived until now has been building toward a moment where your true nature can no longer remain hidden. Chosen One. As you step into this deeper phase of awakening, your spirit begins to feel the truth rising with a clarity you can no longer deny. All the years of inner conflict, all the nights you questioned your purpose, all the strange coincidences that followed you like shadows now come together as one undeniable revelation. You have always been walking in a divine storyline. Even when you felt lost, heaven was guiding every step. Even when you felt broken, something holy was building you from within. And now, as this truth unfolds, you begin to realize that the power inside you was never meant to stay dormant. It was meant to lead, to transform, to command both the seen and the unseen. Think back to the moments when you felt out of alignment with the world, when the conversations that excited others felt empty to you, when your soul felt too big for the situations you were placed in. You tried to adapt, but your spirit resisted. You tried to shrink, but something in you kept expanding. You tried to blend in, but your energy revealed you every time. This inner tension was not confusion, it was calling. The world was trying to shape you into something ordinary, but your destiny kept refusing the mold. Chosen ones do not fit into containers that were not built for them. You may not realize it yet, but your sensitivity has always been your strength. When someone's intentions were hidden, you felt it in your chest. When a door was spiritually wrong, your body reacted before your mind understood. When someone carried darkness, your spirit recoiled. These reactions were not accidents, they were spiritual alarms. You were learning to hear heaven through feelings, not words. And every time you ignored those warnings, chaos followed, not because you were weak, but because you were spiritually incompatible with what was trying to attach itself to you. Chosen One, remember the times you felt an invisible push pulling you away from people you wanted to keep in your life. You thought it was fear. You thought it was insecurity. You thought you were sabotaging your own happiness. But in truth, your spirit was being protected. Some people were not meant to walk with you into the next season. Their presence would have diluted your power. Their habits would have infected your spirit. Their intentions were not aligned with your calling. So heaven removed them before they could contaminate what you were growing into. There were also moments when you felt a sudden urge to isolate, not out of sadness, but out of necessity. You felt the need to withdraw, to be still, to think, to breathe, to reconnect with yourself. Others misread these moments as distancing coldness or inconsistency. But your soul understood what your environment could not. Your spirit needed space to expand. In solitude, you were hearing God more clearly. In silence, your identity was being restructured. In stillness, you were being prepared for greater authority. Chosen One. Your life has been filled with divine interruptions. Times when God stopped you from taking the wrong job. Times when He closed the door on a relationship you did not have the strength to walk away from. Times when opportunities slipped through your hands only for something far better to come later. Heaven was not punishing you. Heaven was protecting you from settling into a life beneath your spiritual rank. And now, as you stand at this threshold of revelation, you begin to understand why the battles were so fierce. The enemy saw the mark on your life long before you recognized it. He saw your potential. He saw your purity. He saw your strength. And he tried to break you early before you discovered who you truly are. That is why your childhood held unusual pain. That is why your relationships included deep betrayal. That is why your spirit endured attacks that seemed unnatural. The enemy does not waste energy on the ordinary. He fights the chosen because he fears what they will become. But here is the truth you need to embrace now. Everything he used against you only made you more powerful. Every battle sharpened your discernment. Every heartbreak expanded your wisdom. Every loss increased your spiritual authority. And every moment of survival became a testimony of the divine fire within you. Chosen one. You are entering a season where your identity will not only awaken, it will activate. Your voice will carry weight. Your presence will shift atmospheres. Your prayers will command movement in the unseen realm. Your spirit will recognize danger before it forms. Your discernment will operate at a level you've never experienced. And your authority will no longer be something you wonder about. It will be something you walk in confidently. The world will not understand it. Some will be drawn to you. Some will feel threatened by you. Some will try to attach themselves to your light. But you will no longer be confused. You will know who you are, and you will see through every disguise. Because once a chosen one awakens, nothing in heaven on earth or in the realm of darkness can ever silence that light again. Chosen one. As you step into this final unveiling, your spirit begins to feel a shift that is not subtle, not quiet, not hidden anymore. It is bold. It is unmistakable. It is the rising of everything God placed within you since the moment your soul entered this world. This is the moment where the veil lifts completely, where the patterns of your life come into focus, and where the authority you've carried silently begins to move into expression. You are not stepping into a new chapter. You are stepping into a new identity, a new frequency, a new level of spiritual awareness that your past self could not have carried. Everything you have endured has been shaping you for this exact moment, the moment you finally see yourself as heaven has always seen you. Think about how many times life pushed you into situations that forced you to grow spiritually, even when you weren't seeking growth. The nights when you cried out for clarity, but received silence only later, to realize the silence was guiding you inward. The seasons when relationships ended abruptly and you stood confused, wondering why things fell apart when you gave everything you had. The opportunities that collapsed at the last minute, leaving you feeling rejected and forgotten. All of these moments were not accidents. They were alignments. They were divine protection in disguise. Heaven was pruning your path, removing anything that could not carry the weight of your calling. Chosen one, you have always carried a rare kind of soul, the kind that cannot be manipulated, cannot be controlled, cannot be dimmed once it awakens. Even before you knew your purpose, the spiritual realm recognized you. Even before you felt chosen, darkness feared you. Even before you understood your identity, heaven was positioning you. That is why your life has never been simple. That is why your story has never followed the patterns of those around you. You were not created to walk a predictable path. You were created to walk a path carved directly by the hand of God. As you look deeper, you begin to realize how your inner world has always been different. When others ignored their intuition, yours grew louder until it became impossible to silence. When others moved through life blindly, you felt everything with a spiritual depth that sometimes frightened you. When others accepted surface-level explanations, you sensed the spiritual truth behind every situation. You were not imagining it. You were perceiving reality with eyes trained by the spirit, not the flesh. Your discernment is one of your greatest powers. It has saved you from betrayals, hidden dangers, and spiritual traps that would have swallowed someone less awakened. You may recall moments when you met someone and instantly felt something off, even when they appeared kind. You sensed their intentions before they revealed them. You felt their spirit before they spoke. You predicted their actions before they made them. This is not paranoia. This is prophetic perception. You carry a spiritual radar that sees what others cannot see. It is a gift, one that was activated through pain trial and spiritual attack. You were trained through warfare, not comfort. That is why your awareness is sharp. That is why your discernment is accurate. That is why your intuition speaks with clarity. Chosen one. You have also experienced moments when God's protection was undeniable. Times when something told you not to go somewhere and you later learned something dangerous happened there. Times when you lost a job only to discover it would have harmed your mental or spiritual health. Times when people left your life and later you realized their intentions were not pure. These are the fingerprints of divine intervention. Protection around you has never been passive. It has been active, intentional and fierce because your destiny carries too much weight to be compromised. Another sign of your identity is the way you transform the atmosphere without trying. When you walk into a room, the energy changes. Some people feel peace around you without understanding why. Others feel exposed because your light reflects the truth of who they are. You don't even have to speak for people to feel your presence. This is spiritual authority, not loud, not forceful, but undeniable. It is the same authority that prophets carried, the same authority that those chosen by God walk with, even when they do not fully understand it themselves. Chosen one. Your spirit also carries a blueprint that attracts both destiny helpers and destiny disruptors. The helpers feel drawn to you by a force they cannot explain. They feel safe with you. They feel awakened near you. They feel inspired just by your existence. But the disruptors are sent to distract you, drain you, or derail your purpose. These individuals come with charm, flattery, or emotional chaos, but your spirit always senses the truth eventually. You may have fallen for some of these shadows in the past, but every time you walked away, your spirit was strengthened. Every lesson expanded your authority. One of the most powerful aspects of your identity is the way you rise after every setback. Some people collapse under one disappointment, but you have risen from disappointment after disappointment, betrayal after betrayal, heartbreak after heartbreak. There is a resurrection power inside you that does not allow your spirit to die. Even in your darkest moments, you never stayed down. You broke, but you rebuilt. You cried, but you continued. You doubted, but you kept moving. That resilience was not human, it was divine. It was the signature of someone chosen. And now, chosen one, the transformation is reaching completion. The fire that once burned inside you is now rising around you. The identity that was hidden is now visible. The authority that was dormant is now activated. You are no longer just awakening, you are ascending. You are stepping into the fullness of who you were created to be. You are stepping into the role heaven prepared for you from the beginning. Your voice, your presence, your spirit, everything about you is entering divine alignment. And from this moment on, nothing in this world or the next will be able to stop the rise of the identity you now fully embrace. Chosen one. As we come to the end of this message, let your spirit remain open because heaven is still speaking. You have not listened to this by coincidence. You were drawn here by the same divine force that has followed you since the moment you entered this world. Everything you heard today was a reminder, a confirmation, a revelation of the truth heaven has been trying to show you for years, that you are not ordinary, that you are not overlooked, that you are not forgotten. You are a chosen one, marked by a power greater than angels, carrying a purpose that creation itself recognizes. Chosen one. Your true identity is rising now. The veil that once kept you doubting yourself is lifting. The hesitations that once held you back are breaking. The signs that followed you since childhood, the sensitivity, the spiritual awareness, the battles that made no sense, they were all pointing to this moment of awakening. Heaven has been guiding you, shaping you, protecting you, and now heaven is revealing you. You are stepping into a truth that has always been yours. You are remembering who you were before the world tried to make you forget. Let this message settle deep within you like a seal over your spirit. You were created with divine intention. You were filled with authority. You were fashioned with a spiritual signature that even the unseen realm recognizes. Darkness feared you long before you ever knew your own strength. Angels stand in awe of what has been placed inside you. And now, chosen one, it is your time to rise into that sacred identity with clarity, humility, and unshakable faith. As you walk forward from this moment, may every step be guided by divine wisdom. May your spirit stay aligned with the calling that has been awakening inside you. May every battle refine you, every sign confirm you, and every season shape you into the warrior heaven ordained you to be. May God strengthen your discernment, illuminate your path, and remind you daily that you were chosen for more purpose, more impact, more light, more revelation. You are stepping into a higher realm of identity, and heaven is backing your every move. Chosen one, carry this truth with you. You're not walking alone. The same God who called you, the same God who lifted you, the same God who protected you through storms you never told anyone about. He goes before you now. You are covered. You are equipped. You are anointed. Everything you need is already within you, waiting to be activated through faith. If this message awakened something in you, take a moment to acknowledge it, speak it, claim it, declare it. And if you feel led, share your spirit's confirmation in the comments so that others on this journey may rise with you. If you wish to continue receiving words that align with your identity and strengthen your calling, you are welcome to stay connected to this sanctuary. Chosen one, your rise begins now. Walk forward with reverence. Walk forward with purpose. Walk forward with the certainty that heaven has marked you, empowered you, and released you to become everything you were created to be.